You're working two jobs, not in the casual way people say it when they're busy. Actually, two jobs. The one that pays the bills and takes everything it always took, and the one you're building on the margins of that, before the workday, after it, on the weekends, in the hours that used to be yours. And nobody warns you that doing both at once would feel like this. The exhaustion isn't just physical. It's the weight of performing at full capacity in a role you've already mentally left, while building something that hasn't shown proof it will work yet. Two directions, the same amount of energy, and neither one is getting quite enough of you. That's where the questions start. Is this actually working? Am I cut out for this? Maybe I should just focus on the job. Maybe the business idea isn't as strong as I thought. And the one you don't say out loud, what if I'm doing this all for nothing? If you're in the middle of a corporate to entrepreneurship transition and feeling both worlds pressing down on you, this episode is for you.
Welcome to the Bold Life School, the show that empowers you to elevate your life and to step into your full potential. I'm your host, Jamesyn, and this is where ambition meets authenticity, where you'll find the tools and inspiration to grow, evolve, and thrive. Each week, we dive into powerful topics that challenge the status quo, whether it's to break through limiting beliefs, navigate life's transitions, or embrace the bold moves that push you beyond your comfort zone. Now let's get into today's episode.
Let's start by grounding you. Exhaustion's easier to carry when you know your why. You may think you're lost right now, but you're not. You're just in the middle of a real transition that you had real reasons for beginning. During a reinvention, you move through 5 stages: recognizing the gap, decision, building the strategy, becoming the person, and recalibrating. You've already done the first 2. You recognized what needed to change. Corporate stopped being the full answer, and you knew it. So you made the decision. You're building the exit, not just fantasizing about it. That work is behind you. And you know which signals got you here. You were outgrowing your current circumstances or misaligned with something. You're ready for a bigger chapter, and the role you're in no longer fits the woman you've become. Naming those signals matters because it provides clarity, a remembrance as to why you're here. Now's the time to remember why you decided to make a big change in your life. Right now, you're in stage 3 and 4 at the same time. You're building the strategy, executing while becoming the person the strategy requires. And you're doing it without the luxury of leaving the old chapter first. So this is the hard part of the framework, not a detour from it, the hard part. And let's be precise about why it's the hard part. Here's what this season actually asks of you. Be 2 fully operational people at once. The corporate version of you, reliable, strategic, performing at a level that took years to build, still has to show up. Deliverables didn't pause, the pressure didn't soften because you decided you're building something else. You still have to be excellent at the job while mentally checking out of the identity. And then there's the version of you that's building, writing the content at 5 a.m., answering inquiries on your lunch break, making strategic calls alone with no stakeholders to validate them, living with outcomes nobody can guarantee. Those 2 versions of you are fundamentally incompatible, and you're running them at the same time. So of course you're depleted. You're doing twice the work on the same amount of energy, in service of 2 identities pulling in opposite directions. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't weakness. It's not losing. It's simple math. And here's the thing. The exhaustion itself isn't what derails women in this season. What derails them is the story they tell about it. I've been there more than once, so I know the specific weight of building in the margins. And believe me, it doesn't mean what the tired version of you has decided it means. Here's where women sabotage themselves. You have a slow month. Family duties eat away at the hours you plan for building your business. A launch doesn't land. The revenue isn't replacing your salary yet. And you take all of it and quietly turn it into a verdict that something is wrong with me. None of those circumstances mean anything, though, until you decide what they mean. This isn't working is a thought. I'm not cut out for this is a thought. Maybe I was never meant for this is just a thought. They're not facts, thoughts, and damaging ones. Because if you believe them, you'll act like they're true. You'll start hedging. You'll pull back right when momentum needs you in motion. You'll quietly build an exit ramp back to the very thing you already decided to leave. These are fear-based thoughts, and they're self-sabotaging. The self-sabotage has a specific source. You expecting the wrong timeline. You expecting the results to be immediate. You expecting to do this without mistakes, without a single failed launch, without ever having to stop and adjust. So the moment reality hands you the normal friction of building something, the delays, the miscalculations, the need to recalibrate, you read it as proof that you were somehow wrong, but you weren't. Mistakes and recalibration aren't signs the decision was bad. They're the mechanism for growing and learning and becoming. They're how the thing actually gets built. So expecting to skip through this period is the real error, which raises the actual question, if friction's normal, why does it feel so much like proof that you should quit? Because you've lost sight of the thing you're supposed to be measuring against. There's a reason the doubt gets so loud in this season. It's usually the same reason. You have no fixed point to measure against. When you don't set a strategy and concrete milestones before you start, every hard week becomes a reason to just blow off the whole decision. You've got nothing to check your progress against except your moods. And your moods can be unreliable, especially under the strain of supporting 2 roles and 2 identities. This is the discipline that separates the women who build something from the women who cycle through half-built businesses, who quit before they've even gotten to the first milestone. You set the milestone before you start. That becomes your North Star. You don't have to have it all figured out, just a milestone or 2 to get you started. And you don't revise that plan until you've hit it or until you have real evidence the target itself was wrong. You can always recalibrate it later. The milestone exists for exactly this moment, so that when doubt shows up, and it always shows up, you have something concrete to measure against instead of a feeling. Without it, you forget the clear-headed reasons you moved in the first place, and you let one hard week rewrite a decision that deserved a much longer runway. So, don't revise the plan in the middle of the hard part. Revise it from evidence, at the milestone, and with a clear head. The milestone protects your strategy. But there's a second thing that needs protecting in this season as well, and it's harder to see because it's not necessarily on the calendar. It's happening inside you. In stage 4, becoming the person, women often expect it to be instant, but it isn't. You don't become the person first and then build the business. You build the business and you become her along the way, in the friction, in the mess, in the miserable middle. Your future identity, that one that can run a company successfully, becomes successful through the act, the practice of running one. Sure, maybe it's badly at first, then less badly, then pretty smoothly, then well. So the version of you who feels like an imposter right now, that's not evidence you're unqualified. It's evidence you're mid-transformation, you're becoming. The self-doubt is just your inner critic doing what it always does when you step outside the identity you've already mastered. It tries to scare you back to the familiar, where it's safe and easy. By managing that voice, building a new belief about who you are, that is the work of this stage. It's not a distraction from the work, it is the work. And that work takes time, which brings us to the thing you've been treating as your biggest obstacle and why it's actually the opposite. Here's what almost no one tells you. Building a business while you hold a full-time job is not the compromised, second-rate version of reinvention. It's strategically the superior way to do it, if you think about it. The job you're exhausted by is the thing making this possible. It's paying for the runway. It's taking desperation off the table. The desperation that forces bad, fast decisions when people are building a business with limited funds. It's letting you build something real without that gun to your head, without needing revenue by next month or losing your home over it. Women who leap without that backup often end up building from fear, taking the first client who will pay, launching the offer that's expedient instead of the one that's right, abandoning the whole vision the second the cash runs low. You don't have that pressure. You have time. And time is exactly what identity work requires. A longer runway isn't the slow path. It's the path that lets you work through the self-doubt, survive the mistakes, and stay the course long enough to actually become her. The financial backup isn't a crutch to feel guilty about. It's a structural advantage that makes staying the course possible in the first place. Sure, the exhaustion is real, but the setup that's exhausting you is the same setup that's protecting you. Remember that. So when the doubt comes back, and it will, you don't argue with it, you put it through a process. When the doubt gets loud, ask yourself 4 questions. First, did I make the decision from a clear head, or was it just a crisis? A decision made from conviction and a decision made from desperation are 2 different things. If you left to build what's next because you genuinely outgrew the chapter, because you had a real vision, give it some time. Remember why you made the decision. Second, have you hit a milestone yet? If you haven't, that's not a signal to change directions. It's a signal to stay the course. My advice is don't renegotiate the plan before you've reached the first checkpoint that you built for this reason. Third, is the overwhelm telling you that this was the wrong choice or just that it's the wrong pace? Overwhelm usually means your current pace isn't sustainable given everything you're carrying. That's fine. It's just a pace problem, not a direction problem. Building slower isn't failing, so adjust your pace and keep your direction. And fourth, what does the actual evidence say about how you're doing, about what progress you're making, separate from how you feel about it? Are people engaging? How much work have you produced? Is there any revenue, even small? Any feedback that your offer is landing? Is there small traction? Small traction is still traction. It means the direction is right and the proof is building. It just isn't finished yet. What would you tell a client or a friend who showed you your exact evidence and asked what it meant? Lead with that answer. We tend to be a little harder on ourselves than we do with others. Asking yourself these questions is a good reminder about why you're here, what you planned to accomplish, where you may be able to recalibrate your pace, and where you're actually making progress. When you feel chaotic and overwhelmed mid-transition, reviewing your why and your strategy can reground you. But there's one more thing worth naming, because the way this season of transition pushes back on you is rarely random. It goes straight for your jugular, who you've always been. And massive change kicks up a lot of old habits. It can resurface our oldest defense mechanisms, like overfunctioning, trying to force success through sheer volume of work because slowing down feels like quitting. But in this situation, overfunctioning can lead to burnout. The work here is to adjust the pace. Perfectionism often shows up when you're waiting for the offer to be flawless before you promote it. You don't want to make any mistakes. The work here is to get something out there, perfect it later, learn as you go. Imperfect and in market beats perfect and invisible every time. If you don't put your work out until it's perfect, you won't have any feedback. Then there's the high achiever, disoriented in business because the formula that ran her whole career, effort in, results out, doesn't map onto building from scratch. The paycheck doesn't come every 2 weeks. So the work here is that the high achiever needs to reset her expectations of what success and the process can look like in this new area. Then there's the one who's always had it together, quietly terrified that when she's finally the one in charge, nobody will show up. The work here is that the credibility she built in corporate is an asset, and she carries it with her. It's not a badge that disappears the day she leaves corporate. The work here is leveraging your connections, your clout, your credibility. When these defense mechanisms show up, none is a reason to turn back. It just shows the transformation is working. What it calls for you is for you to recognize that your thoughts are simply that, thoughts. They're not reality. With awareness of your self-defeating thoughts during the process of change, you can retrain your inner critic to be more supportive. So here's where all of it lands. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're in the part of the transition that doesn't photograph well. Holding two worlds together with both hands, building a third with whatever's left before the proof has shown up. So if you've made this decision, though, from a clear head, trust yourself, set a milestone, build to it, adjust the pace if you need to, but don't mistake an unsustainable pace for the wrong direction. And stop treating the job that funds your runway as a burden. It's buying you the one thing reinvention actually requires: time to become her. So stop asking what's wrong with you. Start asking what the evidence says and whether you've given it enough runway. Here's the shift this whole season is asking of you. You stop second-guessing the decision and start executing it. You can spend your energy on the work instead. And that's what's on the other side of this. Not a cleaner, easier version of the grind, a career that fits the woman you're becoming, built by someone who stopped waiting to feel ready and became a woman with the plan. You made the decision, that part's done. Now do the work of staying in it long enough to find out what you can become. If you're in the middle of it, building the exit while you're still holding the job, making strategic calls alone with no one to check them against, that is exactly what Red Share Sessions is for. Private, direct, structured, no Zoom, no scheduling, no live coaching. You send me the situation, you get your strategic input at the moment the decision is actually in front of you. A trusted advisor in your pocket for the season when the stakes are highest. Link is in the show notes. And if you're earlier than that, you're still not sure whether what you're feeling is burnout, misalignment, or the hard middle of a transition that's actually working, start with the free 2-minute career burnout signals quiz at theboldlife.coach. Name the signal first, then build the strategy for it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to theboldlife.coach for more resources, join our community, and start living your boldest life today.